Hey everyone, this is Elise from Cycle 9. So today I'm going to talk about something that a lot of people have been asking about recently, and that is what is the differences between some of the different cargo bikes. Specifically the Madsen versus the Yuba Mundo or the Big Dummy Extracycle. And why would you choose one over the other, and kind of what are the advantages and disadvantages of each of them. Because when you're choosing a cargo bike, obviously it's kind of an investment, and so you want to choose something that's going to be right for your uses. And if you choose the right bike, then you're going to use it a lot more, and if you choose the wrong bike, then you're probably going to have it sitting in your garage and be, lamenting the fact that you spent all this money on something that really didn't end up working for you. And I should also mention there's lots of other cargo options besides just cargo bikes, and in another video I'll probably go over some of those as well. But for now, just to keep this a little more succinct, we'll just kind of stick with these two or three. So what are the differences? And specifically today I'm going to talk about the Madsen, which is the one I ride right now. It's long, it has a big bucket on the back, versus the Yuba Mundo or Big Dummy, which kind of have the more traditional long-tail design of just sort of a long rack on the back with panniers or wide loaders, kinds of things to load stuff on top or sides on the back. And the one thing I like about the Madsen bike over these other two is really the bucket allows kind of an ease of loading that you don't have on any of these other bikes. There's no strapping, there's no customizing boxes or bags or things like that. It's just a bucket. Think of it as like a shopping cart. You have your groceries in your shopping cart, you just take them out of the cart, you put them in the bucket. It's very easy and straightforward. There's no strapping, no messing around with stuff. So that's one of the big advantages of the bucket. Another big advantage for people with children is it's pretty much set up from the get-go to handle children very easily. It's got 2 bench seats. You can put 1 or 2 children on each bench seat. Has seat belts in there. The kids, when they sit in there, it's a little lower down, so you don't have to have special seats for them or anything. They pretty much just stay in the seats and ride very well. And my kids in particular like the fact that they can kind of face each other and they talk and they share snacks, and it's kind of a little social atmosphere for them. So they like that, and it's just kind of ready to go right out of the box. With the Big Dummy or the Yuba, you either have to purchase child seats that go on a bike, like a bike child seat, and those work pretty well too, actually, for 1 or 2 children, or do other kinds of setup. It's a little easier, I think, for older kids who can kind of just sit on the back rack and hold on without the seat. The younger kids requires a little more customization of getting the seat on there, making it fit with the pannier bags and everything. Certainly very doable, and lots of people do that, but it's just not quite as easy and out of the box as the Madsen. Now, one of the disadvantages of the Madsen is if you have loads that are particularly long or bulky, things that don't fit in the bucket, I find it kind of hard to deal with on the Madsen. Like if I have something really long that doesn't fit in the bucket, then I have to figure out how I'm going to strap it on top of the bucket or what I'm going to do with it, and that's just, it's not really designed for that kind of load very easily. And I think something like the Mundo or the Big Dummy has a much bigger advantage for long loads or big bulky loads, that you can actually do a little bit more to get them on there. Now you do have one side versus the other, so it takes a little bit of practice to be able to ride the bike if you have a heavy load on one side and not the other, but that is certainly doable. And that is one advantage of the longer tail style bikes. The other thing I really like about both the Big Dummy and the Madsen, or I'm sorry, the Big Dummy and the Yuba, that style of bike versus the Madsen, is the wheelbase is just slightly shorter, and I think they actually ride a little bit nicer than the Madsen. The Madsen does feel kind of like feels like driving a truck. If you're going to drive a truck, you don't expect it to handle like your Honda Civic. And I think that's a pretty good analogy for riding the Madsen versus riding a road bike or a city bike or something like that. I mean, yes, it feels different, but you wouldn't expect it to feel the same. I do think the Big Dummy, though, and the Madsen and the sorry, I keep saying that, the Big Dummy and the Yuba actually have a little bit better ride. Still not quite the same as a lightweight road bike, but I think they do ride a little bit nicer, especially when they're unloaded. You don't really notice the fact that you are riding a big long bike, and I think that is one thing that those two bikes have as an advantage over the Madsen. And then I will also say that another big advantage of the Big Dummy, which a lot of people appreciate, is the fact that it has different sizes. You can get it in 4 different frame sizes to fit people from smaller to larger, like traditional bike sizes, versus kind of the one-size-fits-all, which the Yuba and the Madsen folks have. And the one-size-fits-all works for most people, but particularly tall people, the Madsen doesn't really work at all. The Yuba works better for tall people, but again, it's just nice to have a little bit more sizing, and the Big Dummy also has much more flexibility in terms of how you want to set it up, if you want to have a more forward riding style versus more upright, whereas the other bikes are kind of out of the box and upright design. So there's a lot more flexibility in the Big Dummy. Of course, you also get a nicer component mix, and you also pay a lot more money. So that's kind of the main advantages of the Big Dummy. Is it's really higher end bike. You get a nicer bike, better fit, more sizes, things like that. But it's also kind of the Cadillac of the cargo biking world in terms of you're going to be spending more money to get that versus one of these other solutions. And you can always upgrade things later. In fact, on my Madsen, now that I've ridden it for about a year, I have had to replace some of the parts, and I've just gone ahead and upgraded them when I did that. So that's just a few differences between the 3 different cargo bikes. Something that a lot of people have been asking about lately, and some things that I've noticed just from riding the different bikes. And I hope that helps you decide kind of which way to go. And if you have any other questions, of course, we're here to help you try to find the best solution. That is one of the things that we try to specialize in, try to have different bikes so we can kind of get a feel for them and be able to advise you depending on your use of what you want to do. So follow us on Twitter, find us on Facebook, or join our email list. We do have an email sign up in the upper right hand corner. Email list members get notification of videos, information, tips, things like that, and occasionally we send out specials for members only, and find out about events and things like that going on. So I hope to see you in one of those places. Thanks for visiting, and we'll see you soon. This is Elise from Cycle 9, checking out.